This is the reason Brian May officially decided that Queen will never return to the United States for another concert tour. In February of 2026, the 78-year-old guitarist confirmed that the partnership between Queen and Adam Lambert is likely finished with American performances. May pointed toward the current political climate and rising safety issues as the main things keeping the band away from the road. He described the country as being too dangerous right now for a large-scale operation of their magnitude, which effectively ends any hope for a high-tech residency at the Las Vegas Sphere. Fans had hoped the Sphere would be the ultimate celebration of their history, but this decision marks a massive turning point for a group that has loved America since the mid-70s. These comments show a deep caution that has grown within the band over several years, signaling the end of an era that began when Freddie Mercury first arrived decades ago. For a musician who has spent half a century traveling the globe, making such a definitive claim about a major market suggests that the concerns are very real. The logistical nightmare of moving hundreds of crew members and millions of dollars in equipment across a country they see as unstable was simply too much to justify. Before this announcement in early 2026, May had talked openly about his interest in the technology at the Las Vegas Sphere. That residency was meant to be a massive visual spectacle celebrating 50 years of their journey, but logistical risks associated with American venues officially ended those high-profile talks. The band is now turning their attention toward European shows and archival projects instead of attempting travel in the Western Hemisphere. This shift reflects a trend where vintage rock legends are choosing personal safety and legacy over the massive revenue of a stadium tour. Losing the Sphere residency is disappointing for anyone who wanted to see Queen use the most advanced audio-visual technology in existence. The immersive screen and sound system would have allowed fans to experience the catalog in a way that bridged the gap between the past and the present. It was meant to be a landmark event that honored the memory of Freddie Mercury while showcasing the enduring power of his bandmates. However, the negotiations reached a standstill as the group weighed the artistic rewards against the physical risks to their staff and fans. Moving away from the United States means the focus has shifted toward preserving their work. Instead of spending months on the road, Brian May and Roger Taylor are spending their time in the vault at Abbey Road Studios. They are prioritizing the restoration of classic albums to ensure the sound of Queen remains pristine for future generations. This change from a touring group to a curated legacy project is a natural step for musicians who have already accomplished everything possible in the world of rock and roll. This decision also respects the quiet retirement of John Deacon, who has avoided the public eye since the late 90s but still holds a final vote on major business choices. The move to halt American touring was a collective agreement among the surviving members and their management team. By stepping away from the road, they are making sure the final memories of the band remain untarnished by the complications and unpredictability of modern travel. Moving toward European shows and archival projects allows the band to remain near home without losing touch with their most loyal supporters. Brian May turned 78 recently, and his interest in astrophysics and animal welfare probably influenced this choice to reduce his time on the road. Crossing the Atlantic for a massive American tour demands immense physical and mental energy, so choosing a more stable schedule makes perfect sense for someone in their late 70s. Because he never stays silent about global issues, these statements indicate that the guitarist no longer views the United States as a safe place for the Queen brand. Even though followers in the States are feeling the weight of this news, the commitment to the legacy of the band remains as firm as it was decades ago. Scrapping the Las Vegas residency does not signal the end of Queen, but it does mark a fundamental shift in how they intend to interact with the world moving forward. Leaving behind the high energy of stadium rock allows the group to enter a reflective era where the focus stays on studio quality and deep storytelling. This specific path gives them total control over their safety and public image, while they continue to release fresh material for their global audience. Fans can expect this change to produce a wave of premium archival collections and exclusive European events that celebrate their long history. Staying in familiar territory means the band can play shows without the grueling logistics and modern risks that they now link to the American market. This transition prioritizes the health of every individual in the organization over the simple pursuit of more profit or commercial growth. Brian May and Roger Taylor act as the protectors of a massive musical legacy, and they are determined to finish their touring years exactly how they want. Calling the United States too dangerous is a powerful statement coming from a man who spent decades embracing American culture and audiences. Throughout the 1970s, Queen traveled across the country constantly and built the massive fan base that supported them through every single decade of their career. Watching that long relationship stall because of security, here's highlights how much global society has shifted since the legendary News of the World tour. Most artists of this level avoid making such blunt social statements, which makes the honesty from the guitarist even more striking to the public. Safety concerns extend far beyond the musicians themselves to include the thousands of crew members who make a Queen production possible. A show of this magnitude requires hundreds of travel plans and strict security measures in public spaces that many now consider to be volatile. final. Canceling the Las Vegas residency removes the incredible pressure of protecting a high-profile target in a city filled with millions of tourists. This choice shows a deep desire to keep fans and crew members out of harm's way, and the potential lost revenue did not change their minds. This revelation brings a definitive end to a chapter of rock history that lasted for more than 50 years. America served as the proving ground where Queen showed they could dominate the world stage, and it hosted some of their most iconic live sets. Even though the songs will always belong to the American fans, the physical presence of the band in the States has become a part of history. Brian May prefers to focus on projects that celebrate their past without the exhaustion and danger of international travel. This shift is not a final goodbye, but a different way to honor a journey that began with 4 young men in London and became a global phenomenon. Long before the official decision in 2026, the structural and digital potential of the Las Vegas sphere captured the imagination of the legendary guitarist. The way science and art met in that venue appealed to his background as an astrophysicist and a leader in live music production. He wanted to create a show that went beyond a normal concert by placing the audience inside a digital world made of their most famous moments. Serious discussions began about how to turn stadium energy into an immersive experience that felt intimate for thousands of people at once. The massive screens offered a chance to show archival footage of Freddie Mercury with a level of clarity that simply was not possible on a standard stage. The residency was planned as a landmark visual spectacle of the band's 50-year history, aiming to serve as a major event for both lifelong fans and new listeners. Producers wanted to craft a narrative taking the audience from the group's early days through to the global superstardom they achieved in the 1980s. Spatial audio and wraparound visuals provided Brian May and Roger Taylor with the ideal tools to generate a massive guitar orchestra effect that would fill the room with that signature Queen sound. This ambitious project represented a crowning achievement for their partnership with Adam Lambert by providing a permanent home for a show that proved far too complex to move on a standard tour. Talks for this residency involved some of the biggest names in live entertainment, but the problem was that the growing list of challenges eventually became impossible to overcome. Insiders close to the band confirmed that Brian May's increasing reluctance to travel extensively across the Western Hemisphere played a major role in the final outcome. Maintaining such a massive production in the United States brought logistical risks that dominated these discussions, and the result was that the band weighed their personal comfort against the potential benefits. While the financial incentives were significant, the members of Queen ultimately decided that the potential for complications was simply too high to justify a stay in Las Vegas. The end of these negotiations signals a clear shift in the band's global strategy as they move their focus toward European shows and archival projects. Staying closer to their home base in the United Kingdom permits May and Taylor to keep a much tighter grip on their schedule and their daily environment. Energy that once went toward international logistics now flows into preserving their recorded legacy, including the upcoming restoration of their classic studio albums. The band now prioritizes the quality of their work and the safety of their organization over the pursuit of massive ticket sales in the American market. This choice by Queen reflects a larger trend among vintage rock legends who are currently reconsidering the value of international touring in an unpredictable world. Many artists who spent decades on the road now place a higher priority on their personal well-being and the integrity of their musical history. Choosing to avoid the United States serves as a statement from Brian May and Roger Taylor regarding what they value most at this stage of their lives, and acting as the guardians of their own narrative ensures that the final chapters of Queen are handled with the same care as the music that first made them famous. Such a shift suggests that the era of massive rock and roll spectacles in America might be ending for the legends who helped build the industry. While the loss of the Las Vegas residency disappointed those who wanted to see the band use the unique capabilities of the sphere, that changed when May and Taylor decided to redirect their creative energy. They no longer faced the immense pressure of staging a nightly show in a foreign city, which meant they were cleared to pursue projects that offer a different kind of fulfillment. The guitarist's interest in technology remains strong, but he now directs that passion toward the archival realm, where he can work in a more predictable environment, ensuring that the band's future activities remain sustainable and match their desire for a quieter way of life. Moving toward European and archival projects also helps the band maintain a closer connection to their original roots. Queen always enjoyed a special relationship with their European audience, and staying in this region provides a sense of continuity that is difficult to find anywhere else. The decision to favor these engagements shows the band's maturity and their understanding of their own physical limits, representing a graceful way of continuing their musical journey while acknowledging the reality of time and the changing nature of the world around them. Queen shifted their attention from the stage to the studio on February 19, 2026, when they announced a massive collector's edition of their 1974 masterpiece, Queen II. March 27, 2026 will see the arrival of this expansive box set, marking the most ambitious restoration project the band has handled in several years. Instead Instead of another live compilation, Brian May and Roger Taylor chose to revisit the album that many purists consider their most creative work from the early 70s. This project goes well beyond a simple remaster because it involves a total reimagining of the audio that first defined their identity at Trident Studios. By choosing this specific record for a major update in 2026, the band highlights a period when they were still hungry for success and willing to take risks. The technical heart of the collection is a brand new 2026 stereo mix and a Dolby Atmos rebuild that engineers carefully constructed at Abbey Road Studios. Brian May spent a significant amount of time overseeing this process, and he described the results as a chance for fans to finally sit inside the guitar orchestra he layered over 50 years ago. According to May, the new mix sounds 50 times better than the original tapes, offering a level of clarity that was impossible to achieve during the analog era. Modern isolation technology allowed the team to separate individual instruments and vocal tracks with extreme accuracy, which effectively removed decades of tape hiss and sonic mud. Such a detailed audio environment provides a fresh perspective on the intricate arrangements that made Queen 2 a favorite among fellow musicians. Previously unheard studio banter and outtakes involving all 4 original members provide the emotional weight for this reissue. Listeners will hear Freddie Mercury giving directions during the sessions, along with quiet interactions between Deacon and Roger Taylor as they locked in the rhythm sections. These recordings capture the youthful energy and occasional tension of a band that was pioneering a completely new style of rock music. Hearing the voice of Freddie in such a candid and unpolished environment offers a moving reminder of his leadership and his relentless pursuit of perfection. For many longtime followers, these snippets of conversation are just as valuable as the songs because they provide a direct link to the human personalities behind the music. Roger Taylor noted that Queen 2 marked the specific moment where they mastered their signature multi-tracking technique. During the recording of tracks like Father to Son and The March of the Black Queen, the band began layering parts with a level of density that had never been heard before. That experimental approach became the foundation for everything they achieved later in the decade, including the operatic sections of their most famous hits. The 2026 reissue serves as a celebration of this technical bravery, showing how 4 young men pushed the boundaries of what a rock band could accomplish. By returning to these original multi-tracks, May and Taylor are ensuring that the technical innovations of their youth are recognized alongside their massive commercial triumphs. The decision to release this high-fidelity version in March 2026 serves as part of a larger effort to preserve the Queen legacy in the purest format possible, ensuring their work survives for future generations. As international touring becomes physically demanding, Brian May finds these archival projects provide a satisfying way to engage with the music. By revisiting the work he did with Freddie and John in a controlled environment, he can ensure every detail meets his exacting standards. Such a process provides a sense of closure and continuity, connecting the work of the 1970s with the technology of the mid-20s. It is a way for the band to look back at their most fertile period while providing fans with the ultimate listening experience. Brian May and Roger Taylor have chosen this archival release over returning to American roads, and this decision effectively shapes how the world views the band today. May and Taylor want audiences to remember Queen as serious musicians who changed the possibilities of the recording studio rather than just a massive stadium act. Queen 2 stands as the album where they truly found their sound, and the 2026 edition ensures this recording reaches listeners with more power than ever before. This dedication to the studio vault keeps the original quartet's legacy alive even as the members move away from international spotlights. Mary Austin continues to stand as the most significant figure in preserving Freddie Mercury's private history, and she recently stepped forward to address persistent rumors about his personal life. Austin clarified that claims involving a secret daughter belonging to Freddie lack any DNA evidence or factual basis, and her statement provides a definitive correction to years of tabloid gossip. Protecting the truth of his story has been her lifelong commitment, and she works to ensure his memory is not distorted by people seeking profit from misinformation. Her willingness to speak out on this matter highlights a protective role she has maintained for nearly 35 years since his death. This protective stance coincides with a massive financial shift for the Queen Empire, following a record-breaking £1 billion deal with Sony for the band's entire catalog. As a result of this agreement, Mary Austin will receive a windfall of approximately £187.5 million, which reflects her position as the primary beneficiary of Freddie's estate. The scale of this deal stands as a first for the music industry and solidifies their work as some of the most valuable property in history. For Austin, this wealth is a byproduct of her enduring bond with Freddie, and it provides the resources to maintain his legacy on her own terms. Beyond these financial shifts, Austin is focusing on the release of a significant book titled A Life in Lyrics, which arrives for the public on September 1st, 2026. This project offers a new look at the way Freddie Mercury wrote through personal notes and draft lyrics that stayed out of public sight for decades. By organizing this collection, Mary Austin allows fans to see the human side of the legendary songwriter songwriter and shows the corrections that went into his famous compositions. The book represents a bridge between Freddie's private world and his public persona, while offering a respectful tribute that only Mary could provide. While Mary Austin guards the personal history, John Deacon acts as the silent guardian of the band's commercial and artistic standards. Even though he has lived a fully retired life since 1997, Deacon still holds a critical yes or no vote on every major business decision the band makes. This power influenced the recent decision to halt touring in the United States, as the group only moves forward on significant changes when the surviving members reach a unanimous agreement. Deacon's influence is felt in everything from film projects to archival releases, and his quiet approval remains the standard that Brian May and Roger Taylor must meet before launching any new project. In a rare and moving act that surprised many collectors, Deacon worked with Brian May and Roger Taylor in 2025 to sign a special charity copy of A Night at the Opera. That event marked one of the few times in the 21st century that all three surviving members of the original quartet put their signatures on the same piece of history. Seeing his name alongside May and Taylor served as a powerful reminder that while Deacon is absent from the stage, his connection to his bandmates remains an essential part of the Queen story. A moment of unity like this was a gift to the fans and proved that the bond between the members is still intact, even if it is now expressed through quiet cooperation. John Deacon stays involved behind the scenes to make sure the band remains faithful to the vision they shared when Freddie was still here, and his careful nature makes him a massive asset. He chooses to stay away from the public spotlight entirely. By using his voting rights from a distance, he keeps the group balanced and stops any choices that could hurt their legacy. This setup gives the band a feeling of stability, because they know the man who wrote their biggest hits is still looking out for them. The Kensington sanctuary Freddie Mercury built at Garden Lodge is still central to his story. However, the property is currently in transition as of February 2026. No one has stepped up to buy this historic estate yet, despite the price tag being £30 million, or about $38 million. Mary Austin spent 30 years inside those walls and kept everything exactly the way Freddie left it, which makes her choice to sell a painful shift for many. Freddie's home served as far more than an expensive piece of land, since it offered the only place he could really be himself. Moving forward while trying to save the family history has created a lot of tension during this change. Freddie's sister, Kashmira Bulsara, got involved by spending £3 million at recent auctions to buy back his personal belongings because she wants to keep them within the family. Seeing his favorite things sold off was hard for those who loved him, and her massive financial sacrifice shows how much she still cares for her brother. Reclaiming these items keeps them out of private hands. Managing the physical estate of a world-famous icon is an uphill battle because his life belonged to the fans just as much as his family. The outer walls were once covered in messages from grieving fans who traveled across the globe to say goodbye. Now that the house is on the market, a strict vetting process makes sure that only serious and respectful buyers can even walk through the door. Anyone interested must prove they have the money before they get a tour, which keeps the home from turning into a tourist attraction for the curious. Picking the right person to take over this landmark is a difficult job. Because the price sits so high and the house remains so unique, very few people can actually afford to buy it, which is why it stays unsold years after being listed. Some people think the estate should have become a museum, but others believe Freddie would have wanted it to stay a private home for someone who loves it. Debates like this show how hard it is to honor a legend while managing a massive property in the middle of London. While the search for a buyer goes on, the items Kashmira bought back give the family a little bit of peace during this transition. Saving these things keeps them with the people who knew him best. The fight over Garden Lodge proves that music might live forever, but the physical things a person leaves behind are much harder to protect from the world. Looking at this part of the story shows the complicated side of fame and the long shadow a great artist leaves behind after they are gone. On February 18th of 2026, the music world marked a solemn anniversary that signaled 36 years since Freddie Mercury made his final appearance on a public stage. This moment happened during the 1990 Brit Awards at the Dominion Theatre. All four original members of Queen stood on that stage to accept an award for their outstanding contribution to music, yet the mood felt heavy for anyone who noticed Freddie's declining health. Freddie stayed in the background wearing a light blue suit that looked quite loose on his thinning frame while Brian May handled the speech. His final words to the public were a simple thank you and good night, and that quiet exit serves as a dignified conclusion to a life spent in the center of global attention. Looking back on this anniversary explains why Brian May and Roger Taylor have grown so protective over how the final chapter of the Queen story is told to the world. They witnessed the incredible strength Freddie displayed during those difficult months firsthand, and those memories have guided their professional choices for over 3 decades. This desire to protect the band's image played a significant role in their recent choice to stop touring the United States and move away from demanding concert residencies. Both men understand that the ending of a story defines a legacy, so they are committed to making sure Queen is remembered for musical brilliance rather than physical fatigue. By shifting their focus to archival projects like the Queen the 2 sessions, they're ensuring the most energetic version of the band remains what the public remembers most. Freddie's spirit lives on through the work of the Mercury Phoenix Trust. The organization began as a direct response to Freddie's death, and it has spent more than 30 years funding vital projects to combat HIV and AIDS across the globe. Excitement is already building for the 2026 birthday celebration in Montreux, which is set to take place this September along the banks of Lake Geneva. This event has turned into a meaningful tradition for fans who travel from every corner of the world to gather at Freddie's statue and celebrate his life. These gatherings allow the surviving members to stay connected with their fans without dealing with the massive logistical pressure of a standard world tour. The future for Brian May and Roger Taylor now lies in archival tributes and charity work instead of the unpredictable nature of life on the road. Choosing to reduce their international schedule is a step toward a more sustainable and respectful way to manage their status as a legendary group. They have nothing left to prove to the music industry. Having this freedom allows them to focus on projects that bring them genuine personal satisfaction. By restoring the audio of their early records and supporting new advocates through the trust, the remaining members are making sure the Queen name represents both quality and heart. The final appearance at the Brit Awards in 1990 was the conclusion of Freddie's time on stage, but it also started a legacy that grows stronger every single year. The Queen story has moved past the era of live concerts to become a permanent piece of cultural history, and it is being looked after by the people who were there from the start.